Hey there, everybody. This is Rick Hughes, and you're listening to Talking About Rock.
Okay, today's guest is known for his powerful voice as the lead singer of legendary metal band Sword and the hard rock band Saints and Sinners. He's performed hundreds of headlining shows in Canada, America, Europe, and Japan over the years. Here to talk with us about his latest solo project, Redemption, joining us now, let's welcome Rick Hughes.
Hi, Robert. Hi, everybody.
Rick, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, and I'm really happy to be with you right now.
Appreciate you. So the new album here is stock full of great tracks, man. Featured artists. Let's talk a little bit first about reuniting the guys from the Speak of the Devil project, shall we say? You know, Rudy, Sarzo, Brad Gillis, Tommy Aldridge for the Who classic, The Real Me. Just an amazing sounding track.
Thank you so much. I feel so lucky that it came through because it's one thing to imagine it, but to make it happen, you need a lot of persuasion and a lot of luck, because everybody's got to be free to do it, So everybody's agenda was okay with it, so it went good.
Yeah, sometimes you got to definitely juggle those schedules from a lot of folks. Did you have other tracks in mind, or were you always thinking about covering that Who classic tune?
No, that was the track that I had in mind, because what I like about the Who and Led Zeppelin, let's say those two bands, what they have in common is that if you listen to a Who track or a Zeppelin track, if you just want to listen to the drums, it's really easy. The way it's mixed. They're power trios with a singer, so the drums stand by itself, the bass and the guitar, and so that's why I went with this song, because I wanted to have top players on it. The first one that agreed for it was Brad Gillis. He helped us. He came up with the idea of reuniting him with Rudy and Tommy. So I'm being a big fan of the three of them, but in that case, Tommy and Rudy, I went, yeah, that would be great, Brad. Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely very, very cool. Obviously, legendary guitarist Brad Gillis stepping in Ozzy's band back in the day, filling that role that was hugely difficult. But yeah, so glad to see those guys reunited, doing some more music here. But you've also got some other outstanding legendary players on here as well. You've got Robby Krieger from The Doors on here, as well as Canadian rock royalty vocalist Lee Aaron.
Yes, exactly. And listen, as far as Robby Krieger is concerned, this is like legendary. I mean, when I was 15 years old, I was a big fan of The Doors, and I came of age at 15 years old listening to The Doors. Just putting my headphone, and I was like a stranger in a strange land back then, not knowing that was an artist at heart. I was looking for myself, and I found myself listening to The Doors. So it's like, fast forward to today, I still thank my lucky star, because again, it's one thing to aim for it, but to actually get it, that's another thing. So, but it came very naturally. The way it happened is that when it was time to record the song, which he plays on, is a French, bilingual song, because let's not forget that Amy Keys, who sings with me on the song, Amy Keys is one of the most talented backup singers in the world. She worked with Elton John, Quincy Jones, Toto. I mean, too many to name them all. So when it was time to record her section of the song, we were doing the album in Vancouver, and she was in Los Angeles. So we said, okay, no problem. So it's okay. Well, there's a studio in Los Angeles, and the studio is owned by Robby Krieger of the Doors, and all is they got the the Doors equipment there. And I said, wait, what? You had me at Robby Krieger.
Right, right.
Yeah, stop selling it, man. Can we please record there? So,
Right.
so that's what we did. We woke up the session with his manager at the studio for Amy Keys. And while she was doing her part, that's when I told my manager that I was he knew I was a big fan of the Doors, but I said, listen, his name is Pierre. I says, Pierre, to me, the Doors is like, it's so much part of me that if we could have him on that track, it would be amazing. He says, okay, let's give it a try. And it worked again. I feel very, very lucky about this. It's one thing to have a good reputation, or I don't know. I mean, what are the odds of actually having the Speak of the Devil lineup? Robby Krieger, Lee Aaron, Sean Kelly. I mean, everybody said, yeah.
Right.
Nobody,
yeah, I know.
Nobody
like
said
I say,
no.
this is like just a stock full of feature artists on this. It's amazing here, and the music on here is very inspiring and almost like anthematic. Especially the track "Dead End Road." Very anthematic sounding track for sure to start out with.
Thank you so much. This song means a lot to me. The record starts with that song. And there's a feature on this song too. My sister is Lulu Hughes. She's here in Quebec. She's well known. She's a powerhouse singer. She's a blend between Janis Joplin and Aretha Franklin. I'm not kidding you. That's the kind of singer she is. Lulu is amazing, totally amazing. And she sings with me on the song. And she's my little sister. And I only have one sister. I have two brothers and one sister. And she got sick a couple of years ago. She got sick with cancer, and she almost died. And I mean, she became my idol, because I was her idol growing up, because I was the first to play guitar. I was the first to have a band. When I opened for Metallica, she was 15 years old, and she was watching the show like that. And later on, she became a star here in Quebec. So she sings with me on this song. There's no such thing as a dead end road. When the going gets tough, I keep on going. That and when I wanted my sister to sing on me on this song because it's so inspiring. I mean, I told the story the other day. I says, no, there's no such thing as a dead end road. If you happen to be on a dead end road, well, you just turn around and you go back to where you came from. That's all There's always a solution.
Definitely.
So yeah,
definitely.
It's one of my favorite songs of the album too.
Yeah, I thought it was a great way to open it, definitely, and I definitely love the positive vibes and just the songwriting in general on this. Can you take us through a little bit of your songwriting process, maybe a little bit? How you come up with some of your stuff?
Well, there's a song on the album called "Someday." This song was co-written with Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi, Aldo Nova, and myself wrote that song. I came up with the song, but then when I showed it to Aldo Nova, we worked it out together, and then I finished it with John, and I ended up touring with him on the Keep the Faith album when I was working on that song with those guys. There's a couple songs that were given to me by Brad Gillis. When it was time to put the album together, I told my manager, I said, okay, this time I don't want to be the guy that writes everything. I want outside writer. So I'm going to have songs that I'm not able to write, because there's so many few people on this earth that are great at writing riff, at singing the high notes and being good entertainers and being good lyricists and doing it all. There's very few people that can do that. And in order to have an album like Redemption, you need a team. You need some people that will think outside the box and will write songs, like I said, that you're not able to write. For example, Brad Gillis, if you listen to the song Shake my soul. I mean, the riff and everything, the guitar playing. You need a guitar hero to write a song like that. I would never have been able to write that. So the way it came is that I told my manager that we needed outside players. So he said, okay, so let's give a call to Jesse Bradman. Jesse Bradman was the keyboard player in my band, Saints and Sinners. That's the band I formed after Sword. So when we were together, Jesse and I, this guy's from San Francisco. So we hadn't talked in years. So my manager gave him a call and he says, Rick needs some song for his new album. Do you have something to propose? He says, well, I've been working with Brad Gillis on a couple of songs. Maybe you'd be interested in that. So I said, well, Brad Gillis, Night Ranger, Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah.
Of course. Right.
So that's the way that the songwriting is a collaboration between John Webster, myself, Brad Gillis, Jerry Stober. There's a lot of people involved in the songwriting, but it was aimed at me. All the songs were handpicked and to make sure that we had almost a concept album where, like you said earlier, where when you put the needle on, yeah, because we're back to that. We're back to vinyls. When you put the needle on, I wanted to have an album with that would be like a breath of fresh air, nothing negative, only positive, because as you get older, as I got older, I realized that the best way to go through life and have a happy life, and is to be positive. So that's the kind of guy I am. I wake up in the morning, I'm positive all day. I don't dread on the negative. Never, never, never. So I think it shows on the album.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it definitely does. A lot of positivity on here. And that's what makes great music and great songs, right? And so you've got like 7 songs in English on here, 1 bilingual, and 2 songs in French. So you kind of got all your bases really kind of covered there.
Absolutely. And the 2 French songs are well blended into the album. So it's like almost like listening to Rammstein. If you change from German to English, it would change everything about Rammstein. So same goes with my French song. They were written in French. I have a good fan base here in Quebec. I've been singing for like 50 years, and the French speaking people who like rock and roll in Quebec always had my back. So I knew this album would be a very, very important album in my career. So I insisted on having at least a couple of songs for those guys.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a great choice. And like you were saying earlier, you got John Webster producing on here. He's worked with such artists, Aerosmith, Tom Cochrane, Motley Crue, Kim Mitchell. Just a great fit for this, definitely, for you to bring this project alive.
Yes, and about John Webster, this guy is heaven sent, because when I told my manager, I says, okay, I'm ready to do a solo album, and I want it to be international. I want it to sound it that everybody's gonna like it. So he says, okay, well, I have the producer for you. It's John Webster. I says, wow, that would be great to have him. He says, okay, I'll arrange something. So it all started with we had dinner in Montreal back in 2022, and we had a dinner and we connected, and then it took us 2 years to do Redemption.
Yeah, I think you guys just did a fabulous job, and it sounds great. And I just wanted to go back a little bit. You talked about a little bit earlier, opening for some major heavy hitters over your career, right? Metallica, Motorhead, Alice Cooper, Bon Jovi, Black Label. Can you tell any of our listeners maybe a little bit of peek behind the scenes of some of your memories from that time? Does anything come to mind from doing any of those shows?
Oh man, it was all the bands that you've mentioned, are like gentlemen. They're pro artists. So I had the honor to open for all the bands you've mentioned, and they're the kind of band that gives you sound check, that gives you the access to all the stage, and that very artist friendly, and it's not like that for everybody. It's a very competitive market. The live entertainment, because on the road you get tired, you get this, you get that, so you want to make sure you're on your best side. No, with those guys, Metallica, we always had sound check. Motorhead, Lemmy would come and knock on our door. Hey guys, everybody's treating you right. Yeah, Lemmy, everybody's treating us real right. So okay, if there's anything, just tell me and I'll take care of it. And it didn't need to, because everybody knew that Lemmy was had us under his wing, and I'm sure he was like that with everybody that was cool.
Very cool, yeah. And you've had some other top heavy hitters, obviously, as influences for yourself. You list some of them: Robert Plant, Ronnie Dio, Rob Halford, and French legend John Halliday. Just some amazing performers there. Can you tell us a little bit of how maybe some of their songs or their style influenced you over the years?
I was greatly influenced by Robert Plant. This is my major influence. If you think about it, Robert Plant, what he did with Zeppelin, Led Zeppelin 1 and Through the Outdoor. Led Zeppelin 1 is heavy blues, and Through the Outdoors is music of the world. And in between, he got everything. I mean, he touched every style with Zeppelin. And when he went into his solo career, same thing. From album to album, it's never the same. It's always worked. It's a love for the music, for the art. It shows on every song, on every record. So that's what I tried to do with Redemption. If you listen to Dead End Road, and then you get to the end of the album, and it's the song Ça va brasser, one of the French songs. It's two completely different songs. One's in French, one's in English. So that's what I tried to do with this album. That's why it took us this long, because I didn't want to do an album where every song sounded the same. I wanted to really have a message on every song and have a sound and have a feel, a mood.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that every song has a different sound, and there's a different touches of stuff in here. There's a little bit of blues, even a little bit of touches of country I can feel in there in some of the songs, but you're definitely hitting lots of different styles, shall we say, in the different songs for sure.
And that's what Zeppelin did. They were a hard rock, country. Zeppelin did it all. They're my biggest influence. But let's not forget Ozzy. Ozzy is another of my big influence. Ozzy, Ronnie James Dio, Rob Halford, the ones you named. Yeah, I was greatly influenced by them. They were my professors. Sometimes people ask me, did you take singing lesson? I said, I tell them, yeah, I did. I listened to Robert Plant, Ronnie James Dio, and Ian Gillan. And when I was a kid, I started to play live at 15 years old. I did my first record. I was like 22, 23. So from 15 to 22, I did the bar circuits here in Quebec, playing Zeppelin, Judas Priest, AC/DC. Man, I had to learn the chop. Yeah, I had the best professors in the world.
Excellent. So any plans on taking this out and doing some live shows at all? Is there any thought about that or anything in the works?
Yeah, that's why I did the album. So if the music lovers cannot come to you, go to them. That's my motto in life. I love the scene. I'm a live performer. Being in studio is very, very important, because that's where you have to nail the performances and grab the attention of people. But once that's done, then the fun begins. That the touring is. I'm waiting for that right now. I'm eager to start the tour of Redemption.
Excellent. Well, you've got some great tracks to definitely do it with. So the new album, Redemption from Rick Hughes, is out now. It's available on decoentertainment.com. And we have linked to the videos for Rick in our Hall of Videos at talkingaboutrock.com. Rick, such a pleasure to speak with you today, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Robert. It was my pleasure, too.
All right, and that wraps up this episode of Talking About Rock. Thank you to my guest today, Rick Hughes. And to our listeners, we hope you're doing your part out there by keeping the torch alive and support live music wherever you are.